Hello, my kangaroos. Welcome to Roo's Reviews. I am Roo. This is my first video. Of course, I have to go with one of my favorite movies of all time, and that is The Thing. Not only will I review The Thing, I will tell you facts that maybe you didn't know. If you like this video, maybe think about becoming a subscriber. Warning: there will be spoilers. 1982 The Thing by and directed by John Carpenter. The Thing is the first in John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. The Thing, 1982. Prince of Darkness, 1987. And In the Mouth of Madness, 1994. It's hard to say that The Thing was a failure in the theater. Even though a failure in its time, it's now one of the best sci-fi horror movie of today. Can you believe that E.T. is to blame for this? E.T.? Yes, that is right, E.T. Because the aliens were scary and gruesome, there is nothing cuddly with The Thing. The critics back then didn't think the music for The Thing was that great. Music by Ennio Morricone. If I said his name wrong, feel free to correct me as I am bad with names. Not great? Isn't that so insane to say? I think he was one of the greats to make music for movies. Just to name a movie that maybe you would think of when you hear his name, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, that his music isn't great, that has to be a joke. But it is true. The critics didn't give him enough credit back then. The thing starts with action right away. We see the alien ship in the beginning, then goes straight into conflict. In a way, I think this is better because it grabs the viewer's attention right away.
Your move, bishop to knight 4. My move, knight to rook 3.
What I found interesting that this scene is the only female in the movie. Also, behind the scenes is all male as well. When I first saw this scene, I thought, oh, this movie is going to be awesome. To have a person with frozen blood to walk upon gives this movie the creep factor, which is great for its genre. Also gives mystery. Why would this person do this?
We found this.
Ew, gross, but awesome at the same time. I want to talk about the actor Wilford Brimley. I am sure you have seen his commercials for diabetes or diabetes. That's how I say it, but tomato tomato. Before then, he was a good actor. He was the only person to be fine with interacting with all the gruesome aliens. He was a ranch hand at a point in his life and would have helped in the birth of many animals. He was also an avid hunter. It makes sense the scenes with the thing didn't bother him.
See, what we're talking about here is an organism that imitates other life forms, and it imitates them perfectly. When this thing attacked our dogs, it tried to digest them, absorb them.
This scene, Dr. Blair is talking about the thing. I want to point out the pencil. Every time I watch this movie, I always think he points and then touches the thing with that pencil. Then he touches the pencil to his lips. I always think that's gross. The dog's hellish sound of terror was gotten in a strange way. Colin Moua, sound editor, rounded up all the dogs in his local neighborhood to inside his house. then walked around the outside of his house in a trench coat, tapping on the windows, which got the dogs to make that fearful sound. No dogs were harmed in the making of The Thing. This camp and the Norwegian camp are one and the same, meaning they didn't have different locations. Are we surprised of who is the next victim? I mean, would you like to be in the same room as that thing? No pun intended. I wanted to point out how everything is all slimy and wet looking. That is something to remember when watching the whole Apocalypse trilogy.
Gary! Hey, you guys, come here!
Nobody. I just give it to Copper whenever he needs it.
Could anybody have gotten it from you, Doc?
I don't see how. As soon as I'm finished, I return it right away.
The rest of the survivors decide to come up with a test, but they need everyone's blood to do so. In these scenes, the tension is there, and an argument starts out about who opened the fridge, who had the key last, who has the access to mess with the blood.
I'm gonna hide this tape when I'm finished. If none of us make it, at least there'll be some kind of record. The storm's been hitting us hard now for 48 hours. We still have nothing to go on.
I wanted to mention the recording because it reminds me of the video game The Thing. Normally, movies that turn into video games are terrible, but there are some exceptions. The Thing being one of them. The Thing video game came out on the PlayStation 2. The events take place after the end of the movie. It's also where I learned about the word FUBAR, which I use from time to time, which means effed up beyond all recognition. Who said video games can't be educational? If you like old video games, I would recommend playing this one. I have to say that the Thing video game was ahead of its time. A lot of great scenes, including this recording, is in the game. Okay, back to The Thing, the movie.
So, you sweethearts are about to have yourselves a little lynching party.
Did you think I would forget to say about Rob Bittan? I wanted to show most of his creations before mentioning him. He is the creator of all the hideous creatures we see in this movie. What I thought was interesting and didn't really think about when watching The Thing is The Thing is different every time we see it. Bittan had said in an interview that it would have been boring if we saw The Thing in the same form, which I agree. Since The Thing imitates, it couldn't be the same all the time. Very smart. Also, the makeup effects were done by Stan Winston, who is uncredited. These two men, along with their teams, are responsible for what we see in The Thing.
Clear!
The scene that is mostly commonly known as the chest chomp. This scene, while learning about The Thing for this video, didn't know they had a stunt actor for this. This man had lost both of his arms due to an industrial accident. Bittan fitted the man with two prosthetic forearms consisting of fake wax, rubber veins, and jello. What you see when Dr. Cooper pulls away his arms, that is actually jello and rubber, which I have always found fascinating on how they use food to make gruesome scenes in horror movies. Norris, or Charles Hullahan, who plays him, had to be in this suit for 10 days while they made his body to look real in the scene. Dr. Cooper, or Richard Dysart, actually thought Charles was real when they hoisted him up for this scene. That means they did a really good job making him look so real. we see when Norris's head starts to separate from its body is melted plastic and microwave bubble gum. Unfortunately, because of the plastic and microwave bubble gum caused a real fire. The team lit a gas-powered bar underneath Norris's head, and the heat caused the entire dummy torso to explode in real life. You know this is the best part of the movie. Well, in my opinion. All the creatures up to this point can't compete with this. I have arachnophobia, which means I am scared of spiders. It doesn't matter how many times I watch The Thing, this part always gives me the creeps.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
I have to put this line here. It's famous.
What for?
For your health.
Come on, let's rush him. He's not gonna blow us all up.
No, wait a minute. Let's do what Max says. I mean, he wasted Norris pretty quick, didn't he?
That's close enough, Clark.
Paranoid. Who is the thing now? How can you tell which is which? Actually, after all these years, we do know how to tell. Do you know how?
Then I'll have to kill you, child.
Then kill me. I guess you do.
MacReady, played by Kurt Russell, is in charge. He isn't even the captain of this team. He is a pilot. Yet he decides who lives and who dies so far in this movie. Clark dies, but is he a thing?
We're gonna find out who's the thing. Watching Norris in there gave me the idea that maybe every part of him was a whole. Every little piece was an individual animal with a built-in desire to protect its own life.
Movie title. As we see the close-up of the rest of the survivors, we get to see their eyes. They have lights in them, but not everyone does. That is how we know who is a human and who is a thing. Did you figure out which one is the thing?
Now, Clark.
Time to take the test. Since we saw earlier in the movie that all the blood was destroyed, MacReady devises a plan to take the blood from everyone now. He tests Windows, played by Thomas Waits, first. He is not a thing. Then Dr. Cooper and Clark, who are dead, which we find out both are not the thing. I find that to be odd because Clark was with those dogs a lot in the beginning. How come he wasn't a thing? An answer I will not know.
Blood will do you last.
Get away from me. Pretty. What is it?
Did you guess it was Palmer, played by David Clennon, as a thing? If you said no, I will agree with you. I didn't know there was a way to know which one was a thing. It's very subtle, but that is how John Carpenter wanted it, as he called it a gleam. He said that Palmer had dead eyes. The squealing blood was achieved by a hollow fake arm with a mechanism to make the blood spring out of the dish. 3 puppet heads were made to portray Palmer's head turning into the Thing. They were filled with air bladders that shifted into the swelling of the head and eyes that popped. The makeup included a mask where an exposed skull and hanging skin was made by using 2 large foam latex gloves. Showing Palmer becoming the Thing was portrayed by a stuntman named Dick Warlock. Palmer jumping up on the ceiling is actually film that is backwards. In fact, the scene when Palmer stomps on the ground, his feet go through the floor, was the stuntman falling through the wood when he came from the ceiling. They cut the film so we see Palmer stop on the ground, then later jump up on the ceiling.
Blair's been busy out here all by himself.
Now it's time to see what Dr. Blair has been doing this whole time. Looks like he has been busy rebuilding the alien ship. MacReady decides to blow up the ship. Maybe they can stop the Thing. What do you think? They also decide to destroy the whole camp. In this scene where Dr. Blair attacks Gary, it was hard to find how they did that. Since I couldn't find it, I am not going to speculate how they did it. The last and final thing we see in the movie. It's made up of all of what we have seen so far, Dr. Blair and Gary, and we see the dog as well. Also includes the scary spider version, the final boss.
Fuck you too!
The thing we see last is what most people call the Blair Monster or Blair Thing. This monster was supposed to have a larger role in the movie. Unfortunately, due to limitations back then, it was too difficult. What we see is what we get. We see the rest of the camp blow up, but what happened to the rest of the team?
Where were you, Charles?
Thought I saw Blair. I went out after him. Fire's got the temperature up all over the camp. Won't last long, though.
Neither will we.
How will we make it?
Maybe we should.
That's the end. The only ones left are Childs, played by Keith David, and MacReady. Do they die or survive? That is for the viewer to decide. I want to mention that Fuke, played by Joe Polis, died more towards the beginning. We don't really see his death. They do find some clothes and gives the hint that he may have burned himself alive, but it isn't confirmed. We are to believe the only ones left are Childs and MacReady at the end. But what do you think? Think Fuchs killed himself, or the Thing took over and he is still out there? Time for the rating. 1 being the worst movie I wasted time on, or 5 being the best movie I have seen. I give The Thing a 5 because for me it was the first movie I saw that made me think. Also, for its time, it's a genius way to tell the story and all the labor that went into making The Things. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I will see you kangaroos in the next video.